Great people, beautiful people. What's up, family? How y'all doing? And welcome to another episode of Conversations Unleashed. It is Michael Bonner here. Y'all know I love y'all and I miss y'all. We're back on our bi-weekly time. The last episode that we had was dealing with From Class from the CEO, and I hope that y'all are just in the best space possible. And if you're not, it's all good. Sometimes, y'all, you have to do what makes you comfortable. So if you tuned in, shout out to the YouTube gang, you will see I have on one of my house robes that I love. I had on the brown one time. Today I have on the black one with the lovey hat that I love. Shout out to my crew. Incredible brand. So listen, today episode is focused on education. That's why the cover is orange. You know me. The educational episodes will be blue. Orange. The business episodes will be blue. We also have the bottom briefing. Sometimes I pop up to talk about what's going on in the market, which I probably will soon. And then we also have always anonymous. So thank you for tuning in. And we're already a minute in. I want this episode to be less than 10 minutes and we're going to have a lot of fun. So you click the right title. You see what we're on. Before we get started, listen, share this podcast with somebody. Go ahead and link it, review it, give me a comment on YouTube, Spotify, whatever. All of it helps. All of it helps. All of it helps. And let's have some fun today. All right. Let's get into this topic. Today, we're talking about students crashing out. How far can you push them? Let's get into it. Let's go. Y'all, I will say the coolest thing ever is like my mom sometimes texts me and my sister and they be like, yo, we watch your podcast. That is so tough. That's so tough. Hey, y'all. Man, I miss y'all, man. I am always honored that y'all would take the time to listen in to something that I've created. So let's talk about this, all right? Let's get into it because I want to make sure I address it good. And let me put some comics on my lips because let me tell you something. You cannot be on a podcast looking crazy. My students will not flame me. So let's talk. It is currently Q3 inside of the education system, especially for us at the Ron Clark Academy. And let me tell you something right now. Your classroom or school is in either three positions right now. Your school is either thriving in a good stride, things are just okay, or the whole thing is on fire. Right? Your space is in three places right now where you're working at, where you're teaching at. Either everything is good, the engine's running smoothly, or things are just okay, or things on fire. That means teachers about to quit. You can't find nobody to substitute. The kids are hitting teachers with the chairs. It is a crisis. Yeah, I've been in situations like that before. And we're in Q3 inside of my classroom. Now, RCA, we don't have as many behavioral issues and things like that, but we definitely always have something going on, from events to Amazing Shake to EXPs to field days to so many different things that we do to create magical moments for kids. And what I have found out is this, everybody, is that um, kids get tired too. And as you all know, for me, I've been very transparent about, I am so passionate about still being a classroom teacher. I know it's something that some people's companies and schools don't care about anymore, but I care about it because I just feel like, why would you ask somebody to come speak and motivate you if they're not in the ground and ditches and stuff with you, y'all? And it has been a really unique experience for me this year in my 13th year of teaching, because it's just been a lot of curveballs that's been thrown this way. But, like we all do, we rise together and we adjust. So, I've been trying to push my sixth graders to a higher level. My context with that, because I want to be able to have data to show that my methodology is working, the kids are working, we figure something out, a sweet spot. And what we talked about in the previous educational episode is that sometimes kids can get on our nerves, right? Students can get on our nerves. Sometimes parents can get on our nerves, and vice versa. Sometimes we can get on our children's nerves, and also sometimes we can get on parents' nerves. And something unique happened not too long ago where it was an EXP day for us. Now, mind you, let me set the stage on this bad boy. Yeah, let me lean back. You know what I'm saying? So, this is what happened. All right. We had an EXP day. And during the EXP day, no lie to you, y'all, I see like this look of like just zoned out with my kids. Like they are just not in it. And as I'm talking to them, I start to like, yo, y'all tighten up around here. You know, unless you want extra homework, let's go. We got things we got to do, things we got to learn. Y'all, they still were looking at me dazed. You ever did a call response? You're like, class, class. And they like, yes, yes. That's what they gave me. So any smart teacher with common sense will that know your kids will say, "Hey, something's off with that. Something's off with that." So I caught wind of that, and the next day, y'all, I ain't gonna lie to you, I had to come to Jesus meeting with them. For those that don't know in the country, that simply means, y'all, we're about to have a family meeting. Let's sit down and let's talk. What is going on right now? Because I know I'm pushing you. I know my class isn't boring, right? What is going on? Come to find out, y'all, kids have capacity too. I don't think when it comes to trying to grow kids and create magical moments for them, or if you're a parent and you're trying to, make sure your kids have the best experience, I think we often forget that kids have capacity too. Sometimes they are just at capacity, right? And in our conversation, we we had some deep conversation that I would not tell you, to respect them. And in every class, any kid that I've taught, they will tell you I'm strict on that. Whatever we talk about in my class stays within my class because I want them to feel comfortable and vulnerable. And we had some good conversations. And what I did was I promised them that I would reassure them that things will get better, that you're being stretched for a reason, that on my end, I will work on the workload and I will have a conversation with your parents, because sometimes when you're in the middle, that child of teachers and your parents, you're catching it from both ways and even socially, right? Sometimes they're just at capacity. And I'm gonna tell you what, they were not crashing out with behavior, but they were definitely crashing out in regards to energy. Had some kids falling asleep. Some kids just not tuned in to the work. And I teach reading. You have to lock in to read. You got to be able to comprehend. Um, so this is the funny thing. I found out the kids have capacity, and I want you to keep that in mind in Q3. This is not the beginning of the year. A lot of them are going through different scenarios. And if we're going to, you know what? I'm going to go there. Hey, when you start tying in parents, when you start tying in teachers pushing kids, when you start tying in their classmates and friends and, liking each other, and when you start tying in things that are happening in the community, whether it is laws that are being passed, enforcement that is coming in, kids are hitting capacities in certain areas. And it will be a fool to keep pushing them and not recognize they have a capacity. I didn't want to be a fool. So what I did was I had a conversation with him. I told him it's going to be okay. I started to make adjustments, y'all. But this is where it gets interesting. Now it's time for that loving accountability, right? Just because they explain to me that they're at capacity does not mean that I have to become softer in my expectations. What I can do is become more loving and softer with the boundaries I have, in the sense of, hey, y'all, okay, maybe for this day, I don't need 25 sentences, but I need 20 for this day. This day you're getting grace. And some people be like, Mr. Brown, I don't think you should ever move your expectations or boundaries. Hey, y'all, my systems are still in place. But let me tell you why I adjust my expectations and boundaries based on their capacity sometimes. Because to me, that's called grace and mercy. And all of us know as working adults how it feels when that staff meeting is cut from an hour to 20 minutes. All of us know how we feel when that post observation meeting you have with your administrator is supposed to be 30 minutes, but it's cut down to 5 to 10 minutes. And you actually have a moment to vent and get your point across of this is what I was seeing and what I was actually viewing. It's fascinating to me, yo, how we are so hard on students and we don't give them grace and mercy, but we expect everybody else to give us grace and mercy. That's crazy. It's crazy. But then you want a learning community. Let me tell you something. In today's time, you have to be able to have a learning community established with your kids. If you don't, they will not, I repeat, they will not listen to you. Wisdom. from Bonneville. They are too connected to the world. There is too much going on. There's too much that's accessible to them. And what happens is, y'all, they start to compare and they recognize that, you know what, I'm not really valued in this space and they're not going to lock in. So, y'all, I start to keep them accountable. I pushed them and I started to adjust my boundaries a little bit on certain days. Like, hey, today I don't need as much today, but we're going to get right back to this tomorrow. But here's the thing: when we get back to our norm, some kids try to play, right? And this is what I want y'all to understand: kids are going to be kids, and some adults are kids who never grew up. And that depends on the context of how they acting and behaving. Some of them have never emotionally matured. And what I recognize with my students, here's a good example of what happened. We were doing independent reading in my class. Kids get to read independently. I read with my kids, right? I take a moment to sneak and monitor to make sure they're on point, but I read with them because kids don't hate reading. They hate what we force them to read. So because I have to force them to read certain texts to help with certain skills, whether it's understanding text structure, whether it's understanding the elements of plot, I try to give them time where they can just read by themselves. And when I was reading with them, one kid kept looking at his iPad. He kept jumping. So at me, the educator, come on, man, y'all know how it is. I get up and I walk past them. Walk past them. What happened was they were on something they weren't supposed to be on. Now, I just talked to you this whole entire time about capacity. And I talked to you how kids are dealing with a lot. And what do you think I did during that time? I still gave them that consequence according to the handbook, but I also followed up with love and talked to their people and let their people know I love this kid. And we have growth we have to make. And I know they're under a lot of pressure. And I've made accommodations here with the pressure they're dealing with and the capacity that they have. And y'all, it ended up turning out to being a great thing. And what I'm giving you this story from a real life teacher who's still in the classroom to let you know that kids are going to be kids, you know, but you still have to hold them accountable with love and you adjust your boundaries and expectations accordingly. I don't adjust my expectations often and boundaries often. But when I see that their capacity is 100 miles per hour and they're giving me 95 miles per hour, and now their capacity, the engine is starting to smoke, that smoke is them coming to class tired, they're irritable, they're not engaging it properly. You have to shift some, but you can still keep them accountable even in your shifting. So I want y'all to keep that in mind during this Q3. I'm telling you right now, as we're trying to end out this year and we're turning that corner, you about to start seeing a lot of behaviors and things begin to take place, a lot of irritability. We need standardized assessments and tests about start approaching soon. You about to see a lot, and you got to adjust. You got to adjust and you got to do what's best for you and your kids. And if you notice, one thing that I did was I gave them grace and mercy, still with love. We're still gonna work. We're still gonna grow. I'm gonna still hold you accountable, but I gave them grace and mercy. And a lot of kids need that. And truth be told, we as adults need that. We don't always get it perfect. Teachers don't get it perfect. Leaders don't get it perfect. Admin doesn't always get it perfect. Instructional coaches don't always get it perfect. Superintendents do not always get it perfect. We all need grace and mercy as we are trying to grow and shift. The question is, will you give it to people? Will you give it to them? Because don't be the hypocrite out here that's saying, you know, you're saying in your friend circles you wish for such and such things, but you don't even give those characteristics to the various students that you serve, which is the most precious asset that we have as a country is our students. So y'all, I want y'all to think about that today. Students crashing out, does it happen? Yeah, it does happen. Students crashing out, does it happen? Yes. But you have to determine how far you can push them based upon your relationship with them and where you're trying to go. If you dissect my story, notice how I caught that they were off. That's relational. That's relational, right? Notice how after I adjusted my boundaries and expectations a little bit because of the season they were in of being stretched to capacity. That's relational. Notice how I said we got right back to full speed. That's relational and pushing it with systems. But then last but not least, notice how I said you got to offer some grace and mercy. Mistakes are going to happen. Crash out's going to happen. But the question is, how will you respond when those things happen? Y'all know I love y'all so much. I'll be back with another episode hopefully this week. Hope you're taking care of yourself in every capacity possible. And if you're not doing okay, know that that's okay. All right. know that that's okay. And know that you're not alone in that particular space. Like for me, transparently, I don't have to do a podcast. I'm not making any money from this podcast, but I'm doing it for documentation. I'm doing it to encourage you, to let you know that you can teach at the best school in the world, and you can give keynote speeches to thousands of people, and you can have brand deals and still struggle, still battle. For one thing, I tell myself, as I was talking to my therapist today, if you're falling forward consistently, you're still making progress. If you're falling forward, if you're messing up, and you're still falling forward, you're still making progress. You may take a little longer, but you're still making progress. So give yourself grace in that progress. All right. I love y'all. You already know the vibes. I appreciate all of you. Take care of yourself, and never forget, my friends, legacy over likes. I love y'all. Peace.